What's up, guys? Ryan Bailey here. I just did a killer weekend review, and you would be foolish not to watch the whole thing to the end. We just talked VIX, SPX, and ES, and how we kind of foresaw this move coming, and what you can do to anticipate the next move ahead. We talk about the levels that are looking for the bounce, and the levels that we're looking for resistance, and where we could possibly go to. Look forward to seeing you guys on the battlefield on Monday, and enjoy the video. Welcome back, everybody. It's time for the weekend review, and it was a hell of a Friday. I'm actually going to cover quite a few things today. We're going to talk about SPX, we're going to talk about VIX, and we're going to talk about ES. But first and foremost, there's a lot of people who got demolished on both the long game and the S&P, and then of course on crypto. For you guys to know, crypto sold off something crazy. Ethereum was down 20%, Bitcoin was down over 10%. We had the first $20,000 down candle in Bitcoin. And what's interesting is Bitcoin actually came over and played, I wasn't even going to show this, but now that we're talking, Bitcoin actually came down and played our significant monthly. For those people who are in the room, we have been eyeing this 102 400 level for quite some time. Look at this, they came right down to it. This is a beautiful wing play and popped up, and now this thing's up 10 grand from that bounce. It was pretty freaking sweet. So don't want to get too into that. That's another video. Let's get right into the S&P here. First and foremost, I want to show you guys something. People are talking about, oh, Trump's killing the market. Oh, listen, we're up over 40% on SPX, 41% on ES since April. That was 6 months ago, guys. Okay, this is a very small pullback in comparison to what's happening now. And what's interesting is I was looking at Twitter, and a lot of people were like, oh, I called this move and blah blah blah. First off, nobody can call a 3% down move. Okay, it's not going to happen. All right, but one thing I will say, and I'm going to toot my own horn here, okay, but what I can say is this was in the making. For those of you guys who were in the room, knew I've been talking about this for some time. And for those of you who follow me on Twitter, if you don't, I suggest that you should. And here's the reason why. On September 30th, I was calling for the top in crypto. For those, many of the guys in the room know that I was peeling off a lot of money way earlier than this, basically getting the tops of everything. On October 9th, we're talking about, I was happy the market's getting a pullback, and the S&P wasn't even really pulling back. But you can see at the same time here, I'm talking about this shit has such top vibes. I was watching the Mag 7. Everything was pulling back except NVIDIA and Wokeflix. And so it just felt very toppy to me. And then the very next day, I even tweeted for everyone. Temporary top vibes setting in for the S&P, Mag 8, Bitcoin, Ethereum. All the price action was looking rough. It was giving me the heebie-jeebies, all the ups and downs and ups and downs. We had all these insane 1 hour candles on the S&P, that was just looking wild. It was straight down, and then the next day straight up, and the next day straight down, and the next day straight up. And so I could feel what was happening here. And then again, on 1010 in the room, top vibes, and then once again in the room, if you're in the Discord, you guys should be paying attention to this stuff. Right? It's getting very interesting. Top vibes. I could feel it. I didn't know exactly when and how it was going to break, but the market was basically talking to me here, right? And so, one of the other things I wanted to point out here is the day that it happened, which was the 11th. Now, mind you, we were talking about on the 9th, we're talking about it on the 10th, right? And so the 11th that happens, and for those of you guys who were in the room, this was, my channel, which is exclusive to the members in the community here, right here, SPX target. This was the target at 67.60. Talking about this could be the high. I was long, but I was down to runners. It was also the 05 daily on ES. Quite the smack. SPX2, here she comes down, right? They filled the excess for us on ES, which is exactly what we were looking for. And like this right here, could get very interesting. Top vibes, okay? And so, shows the, how they cleaned up the excess in our profile here. And I just wanted to show you guys how, even though we didn't know that it could be a 3% pullback or whatever, we had a pretty good feeling that this was the top, okay? And one of the things that I'm going to actually include is the link to this post. It's been getting a lot of traction, as you can see. This is a statistic that I've talked about before, but never done a post on this, which is after a free fall, what a 30% spike tells us about next week. I think this is a fantastic stat. You guys should read this if you don't get a chance. I'll leave the link for you. But essentially, at the end of the day, if we have a spike over 20%, Going back 30 years on our data here, over the next 2 days, we have an 87% chance of a rally. Okay, kind of a big deal. So I'm not saying this is the bottom, but I'm also saying that we could get a knee-jerk reaction for a pop back up. So basically, either the next day or the second day, we have a positive day. And for closes on a Friday only, specifically about Friday, it is a 76% chance with 30 out of 23 instances. So again, we don't know for sure. We can't, be a crystal ball, but like here, like we always say, we don't know what's going to happen, but we know the probabilities mathematically and the odds. And so we just size appropriately and look for the opportunity when it creates itself. So that is what I'm going to leave you here. And I will say this, If you're not following me, I suggest that you do so. And the reason I say that is because I had about 4,000 followers and my account was hacked. And when that happened, I had to start a new account. And doing so, I had to start all over. And so a lot of my tweets don't make it out to people like they used to. So I highly suggest you guys follow me. I am now Ryan Bailey Edge, and I'm posting all the time. So it's I'm putting this out there. All you got to do is follow along. It's certainly worth the follow. It doesn't cost you anything. It might make you some money. So if you come to where the edge is at, I don't post a bunch of bullshit. What I do is I post stuff edge. I don't doom post. I post things that you're actually going to make money from. And to be honest, it's not very attractive for people. It's interesting. But anyways, so back to the SPX. Let's take a look at what's happening here. So we've got a nice retrace. We've essentially retraced 3 weeks worth of price action all on Friday, which is phenomenal. I've been waiting for something to buy. This is not a bad thing, guys. This is totally bullish still. We needed this. This is a healthy pullback for the market. So apparently Trump, he's talking about 100% tariffs, blah, 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 blah. But the thing is he's given himself a back door. He has till November 1st to essentially meet with President Xi. So we still got like 2.5 weeks before this, the deadline. So anything can happen. Obviously expect volatility. I do expect a little bit more down for sure. But again, we have some opportunities here. And so let's just go ahead and take a look from an SPX perspective. I'm going to keep it super high time frame so that we can get through this stuff in a reasonable amount of time. Okay. So with SPX, essentially looking at this weekly area here, I'm going to go ahead and just pull this out. There we go. So from SPX, we totally lost the weekly support. So now we have an untested weekly up here at 67.15. I don't think we're going to go back up there and see that right away, but it's certainly possible. Okay, so here's our big line in the sand. We've talked about this 100 times, 64.45, but ultimately this is our weekly leg up at 64.0151. This is my first ultimate target essentially for this short, but really this is going to be a fantastic opportunity to take a long. And if this holds, we want to see progression get back above 64.45 and for our move up. And then obviously this would be the ultimate target from there. But, who knows? We don't really know. We have to see how the price action plays out. But this is a great spot. Love this. But if price does move below this, here is our big weekly leg in for this entire move here. Okay, because this is essentially segmented, guys. Okay, think about this. It goes like this. All right. So actually, believe it or not, and I know this sounds crazy, it went like this. But that's okay. Okay, so right now this one's wiped, so that's where we're going to use 64.45 as our pivot for above below. This is our next one, 62.38. We're going to watch this area like a hawk. Both of these have beautiful untested daily, untested weekly spots. And if by some crazy chance, and God, I hope so. I expect all these areas to get pops, but if by some chance, let's just say 62.38 plays, rejects off of this area here and comes down, this is a banger down here. We've got a monthly and a weekly here at 59.69. This is a great spot. I would be looking to load the boat down there. But again, all these spots present amazing buy opportunities, okay? So let's just go down to the daily time frame, get a little bit more granular so that you can see what's cooking on the SPX. All right, so we have already tested. This is our weekly leg to the high right here. We've already tested this. This is tested. So now 66.0472 is going to be a significant pivot for us to get above below. This is our next untested daily, and I do expect a reaction here. There's actually a 4-hour here as well at 65.29. The only way I can see this area not playing is if we gap below it before the open. Okay. As far as above us for resistance, Like I told you, we got that 67.14 up here, which is both a daily and a weekly. Great spot. And then we have the 66.93 area as well. That's an untested daily from the previous all-time high that they clearly found as support. So this is actually a very highly probable trade here. Okay, so again, if they make it underneath the 529, the 6,529, they come down. We know this 6,445 is tested quite a few times actually, and then we got to hold this leg down here. Amazing, amazing spot. And then, like I said, we want to get back above 64.45 for our push up. And again, we talked about this area below here. If they make it below the 6,400, we have this banging ass spot down here at 62.38. This is the real leg to the high. Again, like I told you, this is the sub leg. And so, you know, this could play, but ultimately this is the bad mamma jamma down here. Okay. I'm going to break it down in here real quick to the 4 hour for you guys real fast on SPX just to show you a few little spots here. This is that 65.29. It's both a 4 hour and a 1 hour. I like this. Okay. And then obviously, as you can see, the 66.04 has been tested already. Above that, we do have a 66.57 4 hour that I like a lot. This actually took us to the all-time high previously. Okay. And then you can see this little zone here at 93 to 700. So with that being said, the next push below this would be 64.93 for support if you lose this 529. Okay, and then I don't really like this 64.52. It's definitely untested, and it's right in line with this weekly, so it could hold. Your risk is very limited here. And actually, let me rephrase that. I like this area, but this is the one that concerns me. 64.20. This is not. I don't know. There's something about it. I just don't know. Especially with this 64.01 down here, it's a much better spot to get excited about. Okay, now let's get into ES. This is our babe here. So here's the thing, guys. I'm also looking for areas to buy. And the reason is because I am anticipating a bounce with that VIX statistic that I showed you guys. So, you know, as far as shorting is concerned, I'm kind of done with shorting for now. We've made such an extensive move down that we are ultimately in support or getting close. We're not quite there yet, but we're close enough. And this push down in the after hours was pretty intense. So, you know, after the market had closed, they did another push down, which was pretty wild. So let's go ahead and get into this right now. As you can see, this is the daily time frame for cash session, and this is the weekly time frame. So we got a few areas here that we're looking at resistance on the weekly, 67.61 and 67.06. Big levels to keep in mind here. We've also got a daily here at 67.06 and a daily at 67.51.25. We also have another one at 66, but these levels coincide with SPS exactly. You can just rewind this video a little bit and look how the confluence and the structure and the way that the wicks play, it's all perfect, okay? And then this is the leg up right here, the 66.60, again, tested on ES as well as SPX. So the structure looks very similar. I would not be looking to short this level anymore, but more looking at it for a guide to be above or below, okay? Kind of a big deal here. Now, we actually pushed almost all the way in to this level here at 65.33. We almost made it. I mean, as you can see, we got really close here. And we kind of are hovering around the 50-day moving average right now. Okay, so this is a big spot. Now, what am I looking at down here? Well, from the daily time frame, I really like this daily here at 65.16.75. Now, mind you, I'm speaking in terms of opening above it. If we gap below it, obviously it's not going to do us any good. And when I say gap below it, I mean by cash session on Monday morning when the market opens. If we are above it and it hasn't been tested, I'll look to play it. If it's underneath it, then there's no point in even talking about it. Okay, so with that being said, then it'll just become it'll actually become resistance from the bottom up, as well as all these levels here as well. So this 65.33.50 is going to be a pivot for us to get once we get back above the 16. We want to get movement over the 33. That'll be a big deal for us. This was a big level for us on the way up, and it's going to be another big deal for us on the way down and back the way up again. Now, if they make a push under here, we have this big ass pivot over here at 64.89. This was a monster before. It's a monster again. Look, it's been tested twice here. So again, this is an important level, but it's already been tested. So these are going to be very important levels for us to be above or below. We're going to watch for that. And then ultimately, if we move below 64.89, we're going to come down into this leg in down here at 64.13, 63.98. again, that would be great. Let's get it. And we don't exactly know how it's going to happen, but ultimately this is our leg end up right now, and so I'd love to see it happen. That'd be super. Let's come down and retrace this leg end. But ultimately, this is kind of what I'm looking at right now, and we'll see what happens here. But I will certainly keep an eye on this, and we'll dive in a little bit closer to this when we get into the 4 hour. So I'm going to back out this daily just a hair, and you're going to see the same thing as this weekly that we talked about for SPX. This is our weekly leg up. And then here's the big leg in down here at 62.68. Well, guess what? We have the same thing down here with ES. Okay, that's our main leg. And if you really want to, get kind of detailed here, we can go like this. I'm just going to call it like that just to make life easy. Okay, it actually goes like this, but it's okay. So with that being said, this is our big boy down here, 62.68. This is a big weekly, daily, the whole 9 yards. This is a very high probability area to hold, and we're just going to keep an eye on it. One of the things I just noticed by looking at this is maybe by the time we get down here to this 6,400 area, the 100-day moving average will have creeped up a little bit. So that'll give us something good for technical buyers to keep an eye on, CTAs, etc. They often like the 100 and the 50-day, and also the 200-day, which is way down there. So we don't have to worry about that right now unless all hell breaks loose, which, cool, let's bring it. Give us something to buy. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands one thing. This is a healthy pullback, guys. We've been needing this so bad. The volume has been terrible. The price action has been complete shit. And so as long as the weekly time frame holds this right here, we have not lost the weekly leg up, okay? Now, yes, we've lost support up here, but we have not lost the weekly leg, okay? Worst case scenario, and again, this is the same thing that applies for ES or SPX. Throw this out there, 63.03, untested monthly, down here with the 200-day moving average. And if that happens, we're talking about like a 10 or 12% pullback. That'd be freaking awesome, right? Because that's a true correction, right? A 10% pullback, true correction, buy it, right? 20% is bear market, 10% usually represents a pretty good opportunity to buy, and it lines up nicely with all the high context stuff there. So that's what we got for the daily time frame. Now I'm going to pull over the 4 hour, and we're just going to talk about these areas on the 4 hour that I like, and we'll go from there. And then I'll add in my other overlays so that you guys can see what's cooking. Okay, so right now for overhead resistance, 65.83.25. This was a nice spot where we previously gapped up. They played it from the bottom up. I like this. I'm not certain if I'd want to short if it backed into it. However, I've been thinking about it, and I'm just not sure. But it is resistance, okay? The next upside level is 66.59. That is also that daily that we talked about, which is tested on the 4 hour, but not tested for the 1 hour. So it still might play again. I would be looking for price, to get a reaction here. The other upside level on the 4 hour candles is 67.1650. And that's right in line with our 67.06 weekly daily area. Okay, great spot, great zone. It's 10-point zone, whatever, it is what it is. And I like how the confluence lines up. Okay, next part below us. Now we're looking for support here. I like this spot. Now we're starting to get into all the areas that we talked about on the move up that never got played because momentum was just crazy. So now we're coming into these areas. 65.0775, great 4 hour. And we actually have a nice area here, this trigger spot. This is a nice wick that's hanging down here at 22. If they play 07, get back above 22.50 and start to, accept this, this could really squeeze something nice. Okay, love this spot. The next one below, actually, I like this too. All these are good. I mean, I'm planning on taking all these trades, just to let you know. 64.83. Also another great 4 hour. I like that there's two sweeps here, two wicks that are hanging down here at 64.89. That is less than, what is that, 5 points, 6 points. Basically, if they play 64.83 and accept back above 89, we could get a nice little push into 07 and maybe higher. Okay, now let's see what other high time frame levels we have down here. Boom. Okay, perfect. So look at this. So this is the daily at 65.16 that I liked. Remember me saying if it plays 16, we need to get back above this daily at 33. Well, guess what? We actually have that pivot here at 22 as well. Worst case scenario, they peel into 65.0775. So this is a fatty 10-point area to buy right here. We're going to use the 22.50 as our trigger, and back above 33 really pushes us much, much, much higher. Okay, so this is 33 is going to be our really our line in the sand for this particular section. Okay, now a move below this, look at this. So this is that spot, that's 64.8350. We've got a wick that hangs down at 89. They play this. It's great because the wick is 89, the daily is 89.50. Okay, so boom. I mean, that's a 2-for-1, right? So they get above the wick, we start to move. Well, it's not just a wick, it's a daily. And that's huge support for us to feel confident that we are going to continue this move up at least into the 0716 spot, which is still a good 20-point, 30-point trade. Okay, now let's move a little bit lower. All right, so down a little bit lower here, 64.40. Same type of situation. We got a wick hanging down at 52. That's our acceptance area. I like this 4-hour a lot. We've talked about this on the way up. I remember guys like, are they going to come back and get this? I'm like, shit, I don't know. But when they do, I'm going to buy it. And so here we are. This is a great spot. I really liked this trade on the way up. I wanted to buy this on the way up, and it never quite got there. You can see they missed it. They went to 52, and that was that. And then when you put the overlay on it, it's actually held up with some, so we have some serious weekly support here at 29. So this kind of gives you a really nice area. It's another 10-point buffer essentially where it needs to hold. But we have the trigger at 52, which is what we'll be looking to find acceptance above. And then again, you can see there's a weekly here at 64 that played a few times. So if they play 40, we need to get back above 62. We're going to start targeting 64.50 for targets, and then we'll look and let our runners ride into this big resistance at 64.83 and 89. And again, you know what we need to start to claim to get progression up, okay? But all this area here is good. And then ultimately, the final is, you know, we talked about these dailies here, and I'll just show you on this chart. We talked about these dailies down here, right? 64.13, 63.89. Here's the way they look on this chart down here. This is how they look on the 4-hour chart. So we got 64.13 here. I like this spot, but I want to see it get back above 19. If it gets back above 19, I know we got something. And then back above the 64.29 weekly. 64.29 weekly was super big on the way up, guys. We're going to be using this as a high time frame pivot for above or below. We want to see acceptance back above this for our continuation higher. And finally, the last daily is down here at 63.98. And again, I like this area a lot. If they hold it, fantastic. I believe it's actually a 4-hour too that I didn't highlight here. Yep. Yeah, it is at 63.97. So I like this spot a lot. But again, I have to start taking profits at this area and hope that we start to push above 64.29 for our continued move higher. That is where we're going to stop for the day. There's no reason to go any lower. I mean, even though the price could come down there, I think that you guys know what to do. The next area that I'm really super interested in is this 62.68. There's obviously a few supports in here somewhere, but this would be the ultimate big boy if we end up losing the $6,400 area, okay? There's a lot of support in here, guys, and we're looking for a relief pop somewhere soon in the next 1 to 2 days. Doesn't mean it's gonna happen, but the probabilities are in our favor. So right now we're just looking for a pop into resistance, and we'll deal with that when we get there. So I hope this helped everybody out, and I look forward to making some money with you guys this week. Have a fantastic weekend, and see you for the trade plan on Tuesday. And all the guys in the room, I'll see you mañana.